I'm here with Mr. Joe Butler. I'm here with Eye in the Sky Brennan, our special guest today, and we are doing our top 10 Steven Spielberg movies. Joe, fill them in on what we're talking about tonight.
What we're talking about here is arguably one of the greatest directors of all time, and we're ranking his top movies that he has directed this evening. Good to be here with y'all this evening, always with Corey. We're tied 1-1 since we started the blockbuster battle, so this will be a pivotal match.
Yes, it is. Yes, it will be. And if you haven't seen our other ones, go back and watch them. They're on our YouTube channel. It is Blockbuster Battles on YouTube. Go subscribe and like. Good stuff. We did Disney and Denzel Washington. And so now we're doing Steven Spielberg, a great director who's been directing for a long time. And not only has he directed a lot of movies, but he's produced a lot of movies. But we're not going to talk about some of the movies he produced. We're going to talk about the ones he directed today. So, Joe, as the reigning champ, I will give you the honor to say anything else you want to say about Steven Spielberg. And then I'll let you start your list off to go.
I will say he has directed. My top on this list is arguably the best movie of all time for me, and he's got plenty more to argue. Also, Corey, an astute observation a minute ago saying that he's been directing a long time. The man is in his twilight age, so that's a wonderful observation that he's been directing. I'll just give you some.
Listen, Bo, what I'm saying is some people, they start late in life and they start directing. This man's been directing since the 70s and he continues to direct today. A lot of directors, their movies aren't still at the same caliber. And I would say that Steven Spielberg had a little season in his career where it dipped down pretty bad. But one movie in particular that he directed recently that snuck onto my list is very good. So, go ahead.
Fair enough. Thank you for clarifying.
Go ahead and start with number 10, please, sir. Give us your number 10 Steven Spielberg movie.
Number 10 Steven Spielberg movie for me is going to be one that I enjoy watching. I think that it's very witty and intelligent, and it is Catch Me If You Can with Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Catch Me If You Can. I'm going to tell you what, let's just hold off on talking about that one right now, okay? Because it is on my list. But it's a little bit higher up on my list, okay? All right,
how you going to take that glory from me? But
we'll hold off, and we'll talk about it when we get closer on my list. You want to go ahead and do, how you want to do it? You want to do 3 or bounce back and forth? You tell me.
Oh, my gosh. No, what's even worse is it's not my number 10. It's my number 9.
Oh, my God. Well, go ahead and give me your number 10 then.
My number 10 is Ready Player One.
Ready Player One. All right, we can go ahead and talk about this one, but this is actually my number 9. This is the movie that I just referenced that was recent that snuck onto my list. All right, go ahead.
All right, so with Ready Player One for number 10, and you can say something to it too, we're sitting here in a chat room of Warzone in a video game, so what better movie to talk about, because it talks about the futuristic version when we're going to be able to live action role play with the pop culture icons. Just the huge crossover between all genres of pop culture in it, and the storyline is very unique. It works well. The effects work well, and they have a good back and forth, and it's just a great movie. I enjoy watching it. I need to rewatch it. Mechagodzilla in that one, honestly, is the adaptations of Mechagodzilla, if not the best, even though he made.
Joe, your mic cut out a little bit right there at the end, so I don't know if it just cut out or you stopped talking. But
what about now?
Yes, now it's good.
I was just going to say it has one of the best adaptations of Mechagodzilla versus Gundam Wing and Iron Giant. I mean, you just got a big melting pot there of references and shows and great movies that he made work.
Yes, I like I said, to me, there was a time in Steven Spielberg's career from in the 2000s, teens, whatever you call them now. Anyway, he began to kind of get into this. I just make good big CGI movies, and there was really nothing that really stood out. And then Ready Player One to me was like a return back to Steven Spielberg, like something new, something fresh that really captivated my mind. It was cool. I know that it played a lot to my nostalgia because I was an 80s kid. I was born in 86, and all the things that it references are right in my wheelhouse. I mean, from the DeLorean right on up to all, like you said, the Iron Giant, all of it. I mean, video games in the beginning, all of that good stuff. The Shining, yeah, all that good. Yeah, all the references I caught.
Yeah, speaking of which, do you think that it might have had something to do with Steven Spielberg producing on Back to the Future? That's why the DeLorean was the main character's ride?
Yeah, he possibly could be. I don't know. I haven't ever read the book. Is that the case in the book? Is it the same way in the book or not? I know some.
I have not. Yeah, I'm also going to be honest there. I haven't read the book.
Okay, I haven't read the book. All right, so that was your number 9 and 10. So I'll give mine 9 and 10, I guess. All right. So I told you my number 9 is Ready Player One. But my number 10 movie is Minority Report.
Yes, sir.
All right, you're cutting out on me, Joe. You might have to reset your mic real quick.
All right, hold on 1 second.
Hold on 1 second.
All right, got you. Hold up. Right. What about now, brother?
Yeah, I got you. I can hear you now. Minority Report. Now, you got this higher up. Do we need to hold off, or what did you say about it when I said it?
All right, so I don't even know how to correct my. All right, so anyways, when I went outside and took the screenshot of my list off of my computer.
Hold on, but your mic keeps messing up. You got mic issues going on here. You keep cutting out on you. Hold on. Cut it off completely and cut it back on.
Good now.
Yes, sounds good now. Okay,
I apologize to our viewers.
Oh my God, is he talking now, Brennan? Brennan, can you hear him?
I am talking, bud.
That sounds real bad.
Okay.
What in the world, man? I gotta go with full blast here.
I don't know. It's like it cuts completely out. I can't hear you at all. You might have to. Like, I mean, I can't even tell that you're talking. Like your thing's not even moving on the screen.
Yeah, right. I'm just talking. There was no at all.
Sorry. Let's just.
Yeah, I'm not getting anything, Joe.
Yep.
But what kind of audience? I would like to apologize. We're trying to run a professional show here. We're trying to get to our top 10 list of Steven Spielberg, and we got faulty equipment here with Mr. Joe. And I tell you, it's
you're
really
supposed to be doing a top 10 list.
It's really tragedy. Hold on, I think he's messaging me right now because he can't even talk. Okay, he's restarting his mic right quick, so I'm just going to keep talking junk about how bad his mic is. All right, he'll be back in just a second. But anyway, I won't say anything else about the movies. But
a top 10 list.
All right, is it fixed?
Yes, I can hear you now. Okay, so I just said, we'll just pick up where I left off. My number 10 movie is Minority Report.
So, funny enough for me, that I'm going to go ahead and explain this. My screenshot has my 9 through 1, and I was trying to remember my honorable mentions. And when you said Minority Report, I said, good Lord. Now, I can go pull my computer back up, but that is actually my real number 10. Ready Player One was one of my honorable mentions that I threw in.
Oh, my gosh. You hear this? Okay, so here's...
No, if you want my correct order, it is Minority Report, Catch Me If You Can, and Ready Player One is in one of my 3 honorable mentions.
Hold on.
I apologize.
I'm writing these down in the chat as we go so people can follow along if they come in late or whatever.
I do apologize for that. Or am I having mic issues again? No.
No, you're good. I'm typing in chat. Okay, so Minority Report. Since you messed it up, then I get to talk about Minority Report.
Yeah, you got
Minority
it. Yes,
Report
you do.
Is a great movie. It is kind kind of a futuristic view. What would we do if we could see into the future and see, like, predict crime? And then it kind of gets into some deep philosophical stuff. I mean, we're talking like church stuff when we're talking about predestination and free will. I mean, this is deep, deep stuff that you're thinking about. And do you have to, if you future says you're going to do it, can it change? I mean, you're getting into that kind of stuff. And then there's the twist on the story and how it all comes out. And Tom Cruise is looking young and hot and all actiony back in the day. I'm just saying, but this was prime Tom Cruise at his deal. And I just thought it was a really neat story. It was different. It was a little weird, you know, because, I mean, you got these weirdos laying in a pool doing that kind of stuff. And but I thought it was a good movie, and it's worthy to be on the top 10.
Just to add to that, set in, I believe it's right at 2050, but being in a similar profession, anyways, it was a great performance back and forth between Tom Cruise and Colin Farrell. Great story, plot twist.
Does a great job in that movie too.
I still love the kind of serenity and the philosophical to it. So yes, very much on the list. I'm right there with you.
Yep. All right, so we'll go. It's you're up with your number 8 movie.
Number 8 is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I'll let you go ahead and talk about this because I have this on my list, but I'll let you go ahead and talk about it.
Okay, so Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, I believe it was the 3rd installment. I don't crucify me if that's wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was. Anyways, what made this so special was bringing in Sean Connery, rest in peace. It was also very interesting with the lore of Holy Grail and the story plot lines, and of course, and speak to this more again probably, but Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, baby. I only recognize 3 of the Indiana Jones movies anyway.
Yeah, I also remember that later on when we talk about another Indiana Jones. I only recognize 3 of them too. Okay, that's what I'm gonna say. You covered that pretty well, Sean Connery. I mean, if you can add to an Indiana Jones movie, he adds to it. It's just a cool little deal. I'm gonna keep us going. All right. So my number 8 movie is, let me look at it. Oh, Lincoln.
Oh, okay.
Lincoln. Okay.
Not on my list.
Okay, Lincoln is a great movie. Okay, I'll tell you why it's a great movie. Okay, first off, you got Daniel Day-Lewis, who's one of the greatest actors of our time. He don't play on that many roles, but when he plays a role, he immerses himself into that role, and you forget who you're watching, and you think you're watching that character. And you thought on that screen you were watching Abraham Lincoln. And why I put this on my list, and why I put it ahead above 2 movies I would rather watch, to be honest with you, and Ready Player One and what was my other one? Crap.
Minority Report.
Minority Report. I would rather watch those 2 movies. But the fact that Steven Spielberg takes this topic, and which is a very important topic, the abolishment of slavery, and he gets you to the place where when they're casting their votes in the Senate, and they're saying yes and no, you're emotional. And every one of them that says yes, I mean, you're cheering on the inside and almost to the point of tears. And if you can get me that excited and that emotional about politics, you've done a great job at directing a movie. And then the little twist at the end when he shows Tommy Lee Jones' character going back and handing the bill over to his girlfriend, lover, whatever she was, and she's black, and knowing what that meant to him to do that. I mean, it was just a great, heartwarming story, great directing, great how he would bounce back from it showed what Abraham Lincoln was doing during this time, how he was playing the politics, how he was going out visiting the soldiers, keeping the morale up, and at the same time balancing this relationship with his family and his wife and his son who wants to join. And that scene where Joseph Gordon-Levitt is there and he sees all the dead bodies and the parts of bodies, and he begins to cry and says, hey, man, if you don't let me get in this, I'll never live with myself, and let me be a part of this. And so, man, it got me so excited. Great performances, great movie, great directing. Number 8.
You sounded emotionally charged there. That was good. That was good. If you like Lincoln, you should also watch Abraham Lincoln, the Vampire Hunter.
I've seen Abraham Lincoln, the Vampire Hunter. much different movie, but also a fun watch, okay? I'll give my number 7 since you gave number 8 first. My number 7 is one that you mentioned. Actually, no, I'll let you go first on this one because I'll give it to you now. I'll let you talk about it, though, okay? My number 7 is Catch Me If You Can.
Well, you might as well go ahead and talk about it because I talked a little too. Go ahead with your 7.
Okay, but I'm saying you ain't talked about it yet. I took it from you earlier because it is higher on my list.
That's fine.
You'll make sure I'll get
That's
this.
fine.
I had it number 9. I had it number 7. Catch Me If You Can. Again, what Steven Spielberg does is he can take any actors. He can take, as we'll see in some of my other movies, no-name actors and get great performances out of them. Or he can take some of Hollywood elite like Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks and pull the very best out of them and play them off each other. And I really just love this movie because it's such a great, it's fun. And this guy,
yeah, exactly.
It's fun, man. It's a great, and you see him doing these things, and you're thinking he's a young kid. And when you think this is a true story based on a true story, oh man, it just blows your mind. So that's why I catch.
And watching this movie, watching this while I was still in almost my, I think it was my teenage years. Can't remember the exact year, but of course I was sitting there. I was like, man, I should go do this. This guy did it, and everything else. But then of course he rewrote the FBI protocol on catching people writing fraudulent checks. But you said it all. It is a very fun movie. One of my personal favorites in it is where Tom Hanks asks him. He says, "I just want to know, how did you pass the bar exam?" And he said, "Studied like hell."
I tell you, my favorite scene of that movie is when Tom Hanks has him in the hotel room, and he's got him, and you know that he's got him, and you think it's over, and he's like, "What do you mean? Where you at? You let him get out? You know?" And he just walks right out, and you think, and then at the end, that's what the suspense when he says, "Hey," and he calls him back, and you say, "Oh no, he's figured it out. You forgot your wallet."
DiCaprio's character was a master of reading.
Yep.
A scene that demonstrates. So, my number 7, it's probably higher up on most people's list, but for me, excellent cast. It kind of gets to me the same way that Lincoln did to you, but Schindler's List.
Schindler's List. You go ahead and talk about it. It's on mine. It's not much higher.
Okay. Well, anyways, great cast with Liam Neeson, Kingsley, and I can't Ralph Fiennes. Anyways, early on in their career for a lot of them, or earlier than we think now, because all of them are still acting. So.
Yep.
Just a wonderful movie. Really demonstrates a lot of back and forth human nature, a very emotionally charged time with the Holocaust. It's one of Spielberg's best. It really is. I just have other ones higher on the list that I prefer to watch.
I understand that. Your mic's cutting off again, Joe, by the way. So if you want to try to reset that real quick while I'm talking about Schindler's List. Schindler's List is on mine. I'll go ahead and tell you it's because we're at number 7. It's my number 5 movie, Schindler's List. And the reason I put it number 5 is I thought it was worthy of a top 5 movie. But it's a movie, honestly, I've watched one time, and I don't know that I'll ever watch it again. And for a movie to impact me that way, that I put it on my top 10 list, and top 5 actually, that I know that I don't care to watch it again, speaks volumes about how good that movie is. And the reason, it's not that I don't want to watch it again because it's a bad movie. I don't want to watch it because it's so emotional. It's a true story. I mean, it just rips your heart out. And there at the end, when he brings back the real people and they're laying the stones on Schindler's thing, man, if that doesn't tear your heart out and make you, and the one thing, man, that Spielberg does that makes this a great movie, well, there's a lot that he does, but the one thing that sets this movie above other movies is that one little girl with the red coat. And you see through Schindler's eye, this is like the turning point in his mind. He's like, hey, I can use these Jews. I can use this to my advantage. I can do it. But then he's looking out and he sees that little girl, and that little girl catches his eye, and he sees that red coat and that cute little girl walking by, and then it's a few scenes later, he sees her going by dead on that cart. And you know at that point, and then when he breaks down at the end of that movie and begins to cry and starts going through all the stuff that he has and says, this could have been one more, and I could have sold that car, that would have been 6 more lives. I could have said, man, it gives me goosebumps right now just thinking about it. So Schindler's List, great choice. I got it number 5 on my list. Number 6 on my list. Your mic's still messing up, Joe.
I know, man. I know. I don't know what's going on. Go ahead with your number 6.
Number 6 on my list is, hold on, let me pull my list up, make sure I don't get them out of order. Number 6 on my list is, and it may be a little higher on some people's list, but there's so many great Spielberg movies, it just is what it is Saving Private Ryan.
Oh my gosh, number 6? You've lost your mind.
Oh, so Joe has this up later on his list, so we'll let him talk about it.
You've lost your mind.
Saving Private Ryan. We'll talk about it later, and I'll tell Joe why it's not a top 5 movie. So you know my number 5 is Schindler's List. So what's your number 6, Joe?
Saving Ryan's Privates.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right, Joe. Joe, you're gonna have to cut your mic off and cut it back on completely or something. But I mean, we're halfway through this list, man. This is going so good, and we got to get a mic in here that works. Somebody bring Joe a mic. I can't hear him at all now. Can you, Brennan?
Yeah.
Doing no dice?
I can hear you there.
There you
go. I was trying to charge it at the same time, but here, okay, well, I've got the mic working because I can see my thing moving. Okay. Number 6 for me is Poltergeist. I'm a horror fan. Yep. And do you have this on your list?
Actually, I do not have this on my list. I did not even realize that Spielberg directed this.
Man, we don't even need to finish this. I've won.
Number 6, Poltergeist. I need to look this up, make sure he directed this right here.
Do you need to? Oh my gosh, no. Lord have mercy. No, he wrote the story. I'm a loser.
Ah, yes! Yes! Yes!
I am a loser.
Yes! Joe, he did not write did not direct this movie.
I can't believe this crap. I always thought he did.
Okay, so what we're going to have to do, Joe, is you can't use Poltergeist. So what we'll do, move everything up. You put Ready Player One back at 10.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, so we'll have to amend this. So Ready Player One's number 10 for you. Then Minority Report. Then Catch Me If You Can. Whatever.
Man, I always thought that he directed that movie. I should have checked.
I didn't think he did. I was like, that would have probably made my top 10. And, you know, he wouldn't have been top 5, top 6, but no. So your number 6 then would be whatever you just said your number 7 was, Schindler's List, okay?
Schindler's List.
So your number 5.
So for me, going down the arc right now, is Ready Player One, Catch Me If You Can, Last Crusade, Schindler's List, and number 5 is Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Number 5.
I'm sure you...
Indiana.
You got it.
I do have this a little bit higher on my list.
Well, want to talk about it now or later?
You go ahead and talk. Well, let's hold off on it. Let's go ahead and go while your mic's working. We can go a little faster and then talk about it later, okay? That's Joe.
Okay.
I'm probably misspelling these on the chats, just so y'all know. So go ahead and give us your number 4, too.
Number 4 is E.T. Phone Home, man.
E.T. Actually, you know what we should have talked about? Back up. Yeah, E.T. Phone Home. All right, E.T. E.T. I should have looked at my list, Joe, before I told you to go. Because my number 4 is actually Indiana Jones. And I cheated, okay? I'm going to tell you. I cheated on this.
Cheater!
What I did was I put Indiana Jones as number 4, and that's the 3 movies. Okay, not Crystal Skull, but those 3 movies are great trilogy, okay? And it's so hard to separate them. And, I mean, if I had to pick one as my best, I didn't want to put 3 Indiana Jones on my top 10. I wanted to use some more movies, so that's why I did that, cheated. If I had to pick one to put on there, I would do the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think that's the best one. It's a great story. So go ahead and talk about it a little bit more while I type up number 4 for you, E.T.
Well, there's just been so much pop culture that came from this movie, and lore, religion, everything else. The opening scene where, and bless my, I can't remember the actress' name, but where she's drinking with somebody else in this hut in Asia, and they've actually confirmed that would kill you. She could not drink that much just for everybody thinks that she could. But some iconic villains, Doctor with bifocals, he was.
And we lost Joe again. So Joe, go ahead and be charging your mic a little bit. Oh, you good?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Anyways, a great movie. Speak to it.
All right. So what I love about Indiana Jones and why I think it's on my list is because you're taking, first off, George Lucas helped him write this story. Okay, so this is the same creator of Star Wars, working with Spielberg. Right here, doing so. You talked one of the greatest movie creators of all time versus one of the greatest movie directors of all time, working together to do a great trilogy. What makes this movie to me such a great movie for Spielberg is the fact that he takes Harrison Ford, who just came off one of the most successful movies, if not the most successful movie of all time, and a character in Han Solo. And when you watch Indiana Jones, you don't think, hey, there's Han Solo. You think, hey, there's Indiana Jones. The fact that he pulls that character and he makes him something totally... Because it would have been real easy for someone to say, you know what, that's just Han Solo. Because they've got a lot of similarities. They both got the quirks and stuff, but he just was able to capture that performance and out of him. And a lot of that goes credit to Harrison Ford, too. I would say that normally, but... Truthfully, if you look at Harrison Ford since then, it's all pretty much been the same character ever since. So the fact that Steven Spielberg pulls that great performance out of him, you're talking about a great movie. It's got suspense. It's got a quest. It's smart. It's got action. Indiana Jones. Love it.
I concur. Do you have any other Indiana Joneses on your list?
No, I just put Indiana Jones as my deal, number 4.
So the other one didn't even make my honorable mention, but when we talk about the original, 3 or first bit, Temple of Doom just I liked it, but it just never resonated with me the way Raiders of the Lost Ark and Temple of Doom did.
I agree. If I had to rank them in order, I would do the same order that you have: Raiders of the Lost Ark, then The Last Crusade, and then Temple of Doom, and then that other movie.
So to clarify, you only had one Indiana Jones movie on this list.
I had Indiana Jones as my movie.
Oh, but you can't
trilogy.
do that.
The whole trilogy.
You can't do that. No,
you tried to put Poltergeist on there. Okay. Well, if I had to pick one,
it's not on there.
I knew that you were going to say that. So if I had to pick one, I'd take Raiders of the Lost Ark and leave Last Crusade.
Fair enough.
Okay, that's what I would do. All right, so which brings us to your number 3 movie and my number 4 movie.
No, my number 4 movie.
Okay, your number 4, my number 3. E.T.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
E.T. Okay. I just recently went to Universal Studios.
No, you just got to talk all about Indiana Jones. I get to talk about this first, and then you can talk about it.
You talked about it first. All right, go ahead.
You talked way more.
Well, I got
so as a kid,
okay, go ahead.
No, fair enough, man. But just again, and I mean, Steven Spielberg is just a legend when it comes to pop culture, especially even this day and time. From a kid riding his bike, from his light up finger to throwing candy, there was a little bit of eeriness to it, even not horror but suspense that goes through and just becomes a great family movie. But I'll tell you what, as a child, E.T., the first part when he's out in the shed and throwing the ball back and forth with him, it freaked me out. Like him coming up the stairs and everything else, it freaked me out when I was a little kid now. But great movie, great family movie. Still to this day a great watch if nobody's seen it. Talk all you want about your Disney trip.
You charge your little headset so it can get for our top 2, make sure it's good and done. All right, so anyway, E.T., like you said, again, this is where I talked about earlier, Steven Spielberg and the ability he has to take actors, no matter whether they're seasoned veterans like Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio, or children like he does here with Drew Barrymore and I can't remember Elliot's name, but anyway, these child actors who pretty much this is their start, and the way he directed this movie to get their performances. And I was getting ready to say, I went to Universal Studios just a few weeks ago on vacation. I wrote E.T. to ride, and while you're in the ride, it shows you clips and behind the scenes. And one thing that it said that he did that I thought was brilliant and shows you just how smart a director he is. Because he knew he was working with kids, he filmed this movie in sequential order. So the characters, the kids, were watching the movie as they were acting it out, so they knew what was happening, they knew the plot. So when they got to the scene, when E.T.'s dying, Drew Barrymore is a little girl, she really thinks that he's dying, and he's able to capture that emotion. If he'd have done this out of order and she wouldn't have had that connection there, you might not have that scene today. So that just shows you how brilliant of a director he is. It is a great movie. It's got the iconic scenes where he's on the bike. I mean, you show anybody a picture of a moon and a boy riding a bike with something in the basket, they'll tell you it's E.T. In fact, when I went to Universal Studios, I took this picture I'm putting on the stream right now of me riding the bike with E.T. There it is. Boom. You'll see it on the screen. It ain't there now, but it'll be on there when you watch it back on YouTube. Riding the bike. I mean, it's a great story. It's about a kid who loves E.T., he falls in love with him, he does anything he can to save him. What scared me about the movie, oddly enough, Joe, you talked about it scaring you. I was always scared of the men in the coats. And
the hazmat suits.
That scared me. And, another thing interesting about this is that when I was in line watching it and it brought up something, is, this was one of the first times that you see, hey, you know what, maybe the government doesn't always have your best interest at heart. Sometimes they are after you. And this is one of the first movies that really tackles that. And so, great movie, great performances. I still eat Reese's Pieces these days. Every time I eat a Reese's Pieces, I think of E.T. E.T. Phone Home. Great lines, great movie. That's my number 3. So what's your number 3, Joe?
My number 3, and this better be on your list because if it's not, I still think that you've lost. But my number 3 is dun 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 Jurassic Park.
All right, yes, that is on my list as my number 2 movie.
Ah, very good. Oh, then I already know where we're going. I love it. But anyways, not to take away from this movie, but anyways, as a kid, for the longest time, I wanted to be a paleontologist. After I watched it, I think that it spawned a whole generation. The dream of studying fossils for millions and millions of life. Great scenes, wonderful animatronics way ahead of its time. The T-Rex was actually animatronic, and Spielberg just did masterfully with it. Wonderful cast with Sam Neill, Lord have mercy, what's his name? Malcolm in the movie, and it's driving me nuts here. Jeff
Goldblum. I don't remember the woman's name.
Yep. And even her name was Dr. Ellie in the movie. Anyways, it even had Samuel L. Jackson in there.
Yeah, it sure did. And Newman from Seinfeld.
Yep. Great movie, a lot of terror, sci-fi, just awe-inspiring mixed in with lots of great questions like there are in so many Spielberg movies. Just psychological and ethics, and I still love the scene where Jeff Goldblum is doing the chaos theory. Probably one of my favorite scenes of all time, though, were not of all time, but anyways, in this movie would have been original T-Rex breaking out the wire fence and coming out and stepping, and it was just great.
Yes. And then the one little humor spot when the shed blows down and the guy's on the toilet and the T-Rex eats him. Yeah. But anyway, Joe, you make a great point. Number 2, this is why this is number 2 movie on my list, okay, because this is Jurassic Park. I remember as a young boy, what year did this come out? 96 or something? I don't remember. Anyway.
It was 93, actually.
93, okay. I was a young boy, and I remember this is the first time I ever remember driving by a movie theater. And this time there was only 2 movie theaters in Lumberton, the Cinema 4 and the Town and Country. And I remember riding by the Town and Country, and people were lined all the way up to Mr. P skate rink, which was 2 blocks down if you live in a city, kind of. I mean, they were lined up for everywhere. And this weren't just the first night. This was every night for a week. People were like this. And I remember how hard it was to get tickets. And I remember going and seeing it, being terrified as a kid. But it's just great. And as I've gotten older, you can watch it again. And what I love about this movie is that Spielberg did use animatronic T-Rex, like you said, but he also used CGI for the first time in a new way. Like, if you look at the scenes, and the way he did it was so smart. Like, when you look at the scene where they're in the car, and the T-Rex is breathing on him, and you see his face, that's the animatronic. But when the T-Rex walks away and he's going to the other car, he changes camera angles, and then they use CGI, and he did it. What made him so brilliant, again, this is why he was such a great director, is that he filmed most of it at night. So that when you used the CGI and that stuff, you didn't see all the flaws in the technique. And this was a movie, once you watched it, I remember watching it, and I'm thinking, there is no movie that we can't make anymore. There's no movie I can't watch anymore. Because if they can make dinosaurs, and those dinosaurs still hold up. You watch Blade now, or a movie like that using CGI, that effects do not hold up. But those dinosaurs, I watched it 2 months ago with my daughter, and they still look just as good. That first scene, when you see the dinosaur for the very first time, and they're riding in that car, and he takes the doctor's head and turns it so she quits looking at the leaf, look at that big brontosaurus up there. Man, that was amazing. And that music, it's that John Williams score. That's another thing that Steven Spielberg has in his movies. He has great music. Most of the times it's John Williams is the composer. And, I mean, you remember those themes. You remember that. Great, great movie. Number 2 Steven Spielberg movie of all time. So, Joe, I know you have 2 movies left. I know one of them's Saving Private Ryan, and I know the other one's Jaws. So
that's very correct. Wait, hold on. Saving Private Ryan deserves its day in court, sir. The fact that it was not higher up on your list is an absolute travesty.
Is it number 2?
Say this right now.
Wait a second, let me ask
it is number 2, sir.
Right, it is number 2. Let me write that down. Number 2, and then I'm going to tell you why it's not higher on my list.
Well, speaking to my earlier movie, Schindler's List, that showed us the social just horrors of the Holocaust, and then switching back over to the military aspect, especially as an American, watching something that we tried our best to stay out of to no avail, but finally got into it for a variety of reasons. The real reason that I always love is because of the atrocities that were going on. And for them to get over there, to show what families gave back then, the emotions with it and everything else, it's still hard for me to watch to this day. The scene with Upham not saving his comrade, I have to turn the TV because it makes me so sad and just upset all at the same time. More than almost any of his movies does it make it emotional for me. That is why it's number 2 for me. And you, sir, I think you do it a disservice that it's not in your top 5, but you're entitled to your opinion because it's home of the free and the land of the brave.
Let me tell you why it's not in my top 5, okay?
Tell me.
The first scene of that movie, or in Normandy, when they're storming the beach of Normandy, and that action's packed, and you see them blowing up, and you see them getting off the boats and getting shot before they ever get off the boat. That was unlike anything we had ever seen before in movies, okay? I remember.
That time,
okay?
yes, sir.
I remember watching it on the surround sound, too, and you would hear the bullets flying through, and that was something new that we didn't have in Lumberton anyway at that time. And it was just so neat to watch, and it was a great first scene. But then, the movie gets kind of boring.
Sir, I will drive some towns over.
What? It's some people walking. It's some people walking, and they're looking for a dude. Okay? They're looking for a dude. And then they get there, and I'm going to tell you why I got a problem with this movie. Okay?
Or
Matt
just
Damon.
Stop. Just stop.
Matt Damon.
Just
okay?
Stop.
Let me tell you why. They go, and they risk their lives for this man. Okay? They walk day in and day out. We watch them walk for 2 hours. We watch these people walk. And they get there, and Matt Damon says, I ain't leaving. I would have shot him on the spot and said, you going, son? You going out of here in a body bag, but you going, okay? that sorry piece of trash, Martian manhunting, no, I'm just kidding. I really do like this movie a lot. I love it. But
oh
if
my
I
gosh!
have to tear it apart,
You just lost this whole. No, you just lost this whole chat. I'm going to tell you, Corey, you can chalk this up as a win for me. I would put $100 right now that my list is going to beat your list.
Nah. Number 2,
$100 right now.
Saving Private Ryan. No, I would not put. Which one am I going to put it ahead of? If I had to switch it with anything on my list, thinking about my top 10. Maybe Indiana Jones.
Take it back
I would
now.
put
Don't
it,
take it back now.
But I wouldn't. I would still rather. I'd still put Indiana Jones. I still put Schindler's List in there. I still put E.T. I still put Jurassic Park. And my number 1 movie is Jaws. Okay, is that your number 1 too?
Not only is it my number 1, it is the best movie of all time. Let me go ahead and say it right now.
Okay, well, I won't say it's the best movie of all time, okay? It's probably definitely my top 5 movies of all time. But it is a fantastic movie in Jaws. In fact, it is still Steven Spielberg's best movie. No questions asked.
Did you go on the ride when it was still at Universal Studios?
I did go on the ride when it was at Universal Studios, and I went on the backlot tour at Universal Studios Hollywood, which includes the Jaws interaction. I don't know if you know that or not, but when you went to the backlot ride at Universal Studios Hollywood, they carry you through and you see a Western action scene, and then you go through this one part and you cut through the water, and there comes Jaws coming at you. So
well, let me go ahead and tell you. My dad, you're taking it because nobody will ever get to experience this again unless you have. But when you were going on the original ride and you're on that tour boat ride, and that shark comes up over the side, the animatronic shark in Universal Studios waters, my dad, as a child, held me over the side at that shark, and I literally thought that I was going to just give up from fright. It was the closest I've ever been scared to death in my life. It just, Lord have mercy. But now that we've talked about our Universal Studios experience, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Let me tell you why this movie is the greatest of all time. So one of my favorite glasses that's sitting here right in front of me, this movie is equipped with some of the best fear, but some of the best, or if not the best script ever written. So many one-liners, and I have this glass right here that has an engraving on it in between shark's jaws that says, "Here's to swimming with bow-legged women." So Quint and the back and forth between him, Brody, Chief is just all time as a man gung-ho movie, testosterone flowing, and there's still just this unforeseen force out there to spawn a generation of shark movies. Jaws 2 actually is another great movie. The rest of them we're not going to really speak to, but Jaws 2 also was a great sequel.
You don't like it when Jaws went to SeaWorld?
Look, let's not even talk about that movie. And funny enough, Jaws 4 is one of the lowest rated movies of all time. I think it has a 4 on the Rotten Tomatoes meter. That movie is just, and that's actually one Spielberg came back to direct. He didn't direct 3. He directed 1, 2, and 4. But I could sit here. I could sit here and talk about this movie all night. But there are some of the most iconic scenes. But when they go out on the fishing charter, and elitist versus working class man versus southern man that's caught in between, genuine terror. Funny enough, I saw it my first time when I was 6 years old, and I was a very avid swimmer, loved the beach and everything else. And I did not go into the ocean for an entire year because terrified.
Listen, this movie, this is why it's so good, okay? Because Jaws, it doesn't matter who you are. If you get in an ocean and you hear somebody start going, dun, dun, I don't care how brave you think you are, you will look around and look and see if there's a shark. It's scary. There are people that to this day who watch this movie, just like you talked about, you did it for a year. There are people who watch this movie today who won't swim in swimming pools because of Jaws, okay? There are people, I heard stories about people who watched this movie who wouldn't get on the toilet after it came off because they were scared sharks might come through the water in the toilet. Now, that's a true story. You can look it up, okay, about Jaws. I did, okay? But what made this movie so great, and this, again, it goes back to, we're talking about Steven Spielberg and who I think is the greatest director of all time, is I don't know that we have the same movie today if Steven Spielberg was not directing it, A, and B, if everything that he wanted to happen happened like he wanted it to. Because what happened was, I'm sure you probably know this as a big Jaws fan, is they created this animatronic shark, and then they realized they didn't build it for salt water. So when they put it in the Nantucket Sound for the very first time, it sank to the bottom, and they thought the movie was over. But Spielberg didn't panic. One of the writers came to him and said, hey, what if we just show glimpses of the shark and where the shark is? And that's what makes this movie so freaking scary, is that you actually hardly ever see the shark. And our imagination builds this thing up that when you finally do see it, man, you are scared to death. It's kind of, I'll give you another example of a movie where I thought about this as I was thinking about this movie. It was a great movie up until the point where I saw the villain, okay? See, what Jaws did good is you knew it was a shark, you had this imagination, and when you saw the shark, it delivered. It was just as scary as you pictured, okay? But a movie that didn't deliver was Jeepers Creepers, okay? You remember this movie, Jeepers Creepers?
The original Jeepers Creeper does deliver, sir. The original does.
No, it is a great movie up until the point that you see the villain. When he's just riding in that truck, and he gets behind you and he bumps on you and you don't see him and you just see his hat and his stuff, man, I'm scared to death, Bo. But then when they show him he's got a long, weird-looking nose trying to look like a Freddy Krueger knockoff, I was like, I weren't scared anymore. But up until
we're gonna have to do top 10 horror because you're ruining yourself talking about how the original Jeepers. But we won't go there. I don't want to disgrace this movie. I'm not saying it's not a good movie.
I'm just saying that it didn't deliver on its villain. Okay. And Jeepers Creepers probably would be in my top 10, just FYI. But it could have been so much better to me, Jeepers Creepers. And they showed the villain. But with Jaws,
quit talking about it. This is Jaws.
I was satisfied. I was satisfied. He came out of that water, like you said, the dialogue that you have. Again, this is where Spielberg's so good, is that he can show you the main story and what you're kind of focused on, but then he goes right back to the family, and it shows the chief with his kid sitting at the dinner table and having these conversations, and he's still raising his family and he's still taking care of his family, and yet he's battling this shark on the other side of the screen. You know what I'm saying?
And nobody believes him. It's like the little boy that cried wolf for a while.
Yeah, that's right. And then he goes out, and then he's throwing out the chum, and that shark jumps up for the first time, and you see it for the first time, and he backs up and says,
20-footer. 25.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yes. No, I got it right.
I mean, that is good. I preached a sermon on that one right there. Okay, just FYI, you're gonna need another boat. Preach the sermon.
But that might have given you a fighting chance, Corey, in this list. But I still think that in this overall list, that well, you know what? Before we get there, what are your two honorable mentions? I know you said you had two, and now only I have two. So.
Well, I actually only had one. One of my honorable mentions was Hook, okay? With Robin Williams and, God, dog, what is his name? That one that played Hook. God, dog it.
Well, we have internet, sir.
Yeah, I need to look it up. Hold on, let me see. He's a famous actor. Dustin Hoffman.
That's not all. Dustin Hoffman, that's right.
Yes. As Hook. I mean, you talk about this takes the classic tale of Peter Pan. It goes back, and he's grown up. He's all this stuff that Peter Pan lived for. He's got rid of, and the reason it makes my honorable mention now is because I watched it not too long ago with my daughter, and I could relate to this character so much because I've grown up, and I lost some of that childish wonder. And then they asked him at the end what made him happy, what was his happy thought, and he said, it was you guys, it was my kids. That's what makes me happy. That's what gives me that power to fly, man. Whew, and break your heart. And then again, it's Robin Williams, so can't go wrong with Robin Williams. I love it.
Well, I'll just narrow mine down to one. If I had to have one honorable mention, it's going to be Jurassic Park and the Lost World, because it was a wonderful follow-up. It was a pretty good movie. It was terrifying. Jeff Goldblum came back. Vince Vaughn was in the movie. And it had a lot of the equal terror to it and everything else. And it actually was the first one to bring a dinosaur that rampaging back through San Diego. And it was another just great movie.
I tell you what, Joe, I'm going to give you an advantage here. We'll just put our top 10 list, because you tell people you got Lost World as one of your honorable mentions, you're going to lose for sure, okay?
Oh, I think not, sir. I think not.
Lost World, the Lost World, garbage, Bo, garbage. Now, Jurassic
I hope
Park,
people listen
good.
to this stream.
Good. The Lost World sucks. Brennan, you want to weigh in on the Lost World? You like the Lost? Where you at on the Lost World, Brennan?
I love Jurassic Park.
I said number 1.
Boom.
Number 2. You talking about Lost World? You like Lost World too?
But
we got a cliffhanger here. I heard but, and then I ain't heard nothing else.
Lost World was garbage.
Boom, Joe, boom!
And I love Jurassic Park movies. Like that's my thing.
All right, Brennan, what you going? Hey,
I went and watched
if you
Jurassic Park. Go ahead.
Man, if you had to sit down right now, Brennan, if you had to sit down right now, what would you watch? Hook or Jurassic Park Lost World?
Oh man.
Nah, you know.
I haven't watched Hook.
So he hadn't seen Hook, but he hadn't seen Hook. What? Give us your second honorable mention. I'll throw out a second one. I got a second one I can name because you done robbed me of one of my movies anyway.
No. Let's keep it at that. Let's call this, or just keep it our top
Let's hear it. Let's hear what your other honorable mention was.
My other honorable mention is going to make most people's top 10, I think, but it's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So.
Well, I have never seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind, so I can't speak to it. But if I had to put a second one, I'd put The Last Crusade. So
it's actually in my top 10, so I don't think.
Yeah. So,
okay, so name Joe's top 10 again.
Joe's top. Do you want to give it to him, Joe? Let me type it up as you go in, so I can give him a definite list on the Twitch. Okay, so Joe's list is.
Oh, I gotta find my list.
Minority.
Put it up.
No, Ready Player One.
To move it up.
Yep, Ready Player One, Minority Report, Catch Me If You Can, Schindler's List. Wait, that it?
Hold on, let me type these up. Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, okay. Oh boy. No, it's Last Crusade, then Schindler's List.
Last Crusade. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Crap, quit. Number 7 is Last Crusade. Number 6 is Schindler's List.
5 is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
4 is E.T.
4 E.T. 3 is Jurassic Park. Is that right?
2 is Saving Private Ryan.
2 Saving Ryan's Privates.
And Jaws.
And Jaws, okay?
With his Jaws?
Number 1 was Jaws. Did you say E.T. was in Jurassic Park Saving Ryan's Privates with his Jaws?
Oh my gosh. Making a Terminators.
Yeah, number 4 was his. E.T. was number 4.
Okay.
Alright, so here's my list, okay? Let me
Alright.
copy and paste it because that's easier for me to copy and paste because I got mine. Alright. Oh, I got some notes in there. Hold on, I gotta delete the notes. Ho, 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 ho. Alright. Hold on, I did something right there. What did I do? Okay, there it is. Alright, here's my list. Alright. My number 10 was Minority Report. Number 9, Ready Player One. Number 8 was Lincoln. Number 7, Catch Me If You Can. Number 6, Saving Private Ryan. Number 5, Schindler's List. Number 4, Indiana Jones. I guess I'll say it, and The Lost Ark. Number 3, E.T. Number 2, Jurassic Park. Number 1, Jaws.
Yes, sir. And I would love it if you'd take a picture of both of them, type it up tomorrow, and post.
Okay, hold on. It's going to be kind of funky for you to read, Joe, but you can...
Well, just take a picture of yours.
Okay, I'll do that. All right, Brennan, fix your mic and tell us which one would you vote for. You're the first vote.
Dude, this one, it sounded good. It sounded close. But, yeah, Corey's list won this one.
Woo! It's
time out. There's only one thing about Corey's list that I would have changed, and that was I would have put Saving Private Ryan in the top 5.
What would you taken out? Schindler's List?
I'd have.
Indiana Jones?
I'd have switched them out with Schindler's List.
So 5 and 6 switched them out. Okay.
Or is anybody else watching this stream right now? Do we have it?
No, we don't have no.
That's the only list that you're gonna. That's the only vote that you're gonna get.
Dude, Lincoln was a good movie. Ready Player One's a good movie.
Yeah.
Hold on. Tell me why Corey's wins, Brendan. Tell me why his wins.
Because because he puts Jurassic Park, E.T., and Indiana Jones above Saving Private Ryan.
I mean, y'all both had Jaws first, so that was.
That's a wash. But Jurassic Park and E.T. are better movies than Saving Private Ryan. I would watch Saving Private Ryan, that first scene, over and over and over again. But after that, it kind of...
Well, that's just morbid and gruesome, sir.
Well, that's just cool. I'm just saying, if it's on TNT, I'll watch that. But once it gets to that part where they start walking, I'm turning to champ. But E.T., those are, man, Jurassic Park, God almighty, you can't... there's no way.
I'm gonna put that when I post this. I'm gonna put that on there that Corey says Saving Private Ryan after the first scene is boring.
No, you can't do that. They got to go watch the stream. You just put the list on there, and if they want to see it, they can go watch the stream. Okay. Now you can't tell me, Joe. You can't sit here and tell me that the first scene is equally as entertaining as the middle part of the movie. Not the last part. The last part where they're shooting, that's pretty good too. When he's up in that tower, okay, that's pretty good. But the middle, it gets kind of dull.
No, it doesn't. They lose other members along the way. It's talking about their sacrifice that builds up to the finale of it. They lose other members. They have constant debates of ethics. Whatever. Let's play Warzone. Yeah, you're making me mad talking about it.
You want Resurgence or regular?
Let's do the Verdansk Resurgence trios.
Joe, you had a great list. A very good list, Joe. Only reason only reason I even argue with you is because I have to, because this is our job. Okay.
Brendan doesn't know anything about.
Oh, he was a movie genius the first week. The first week he was a movie genius. He was up there with Schizoid Neighbor or whatever his name is.
He's losing it a little bit here.
Yeah, I'd like to do a Quentin Tarantino list. That'd be a good one. Actually, he hadn't done his 10 movies yet. Once he does his 10 movies, we'll do it.
Your next list is going to be Nicholas Sparks' movie.
Oh, my gosh.
I can give you that one right there. The Notebook, hands down, #1, The Notebook, okay?
Get out of here.